Hello and welcome. I am Perry Romanowski. I am with the IFSCC. I'm on the Education Committee and the chair of the Education Committee. This is our bi-weekly, or is it bi-monthly? No, not bi-monthly. I've never known. It's semi-weekly. Anyway, it happens every other week.
Every other week.
every other Wednesday, except when it doesn't happen on Wednesday. Maybe we'll do a Thursday. But so far, it's every other Wednesday. This is our 9th webinar. Our topic today is going to be on sunscreens. But first, let me introduce Mary Lynn Halland. She is the Secretariat of the IFSCC, and she's going to run through a few slides about the IFSCC before we get started. So I'll start the slides here for you, Mary Lynn, and there you go.
Thank you. So just quickly, what is the IFSCC? We are the International Federation of Societies of Cosmetic Chemists. We're a worldwide federation of 49 national societies, and I'm very happy to say we should have one more society joining us this fall. We're dedicated to international cooperation in cosmetic science and technology. If you join the Society of Cosmetic Chemists or Society of Cosmetic Scientists in your country, and they belong to the IFSCC, you're automatically a member of the IFSCC. And there are lots of benefits you will get included in your membership with your national society. You get the IFSCC magazine, which we publish 4 times a year. You get access to COSMED, which is the only database of its type in the world. We have over 100,000 individual articles, papers, podiums, posters, etc. Just on cosmetic science. It's the only place you can get it, and it's free. We have a virtual library online at ifscc.org. That's where you'll find tomorrow, the recording of today's webinar. We also have archives of our magazine, every article published since the year 2000, all the podiums and posters of our annual Congress or conference since 1995, and as I said, our webinars. We offer prestigious awards every year at our Congress or our conference. We also have special prizes for young scientists. And if you go into, Perry, how do we do this? We have attached here a flyer showing all these benefits and another flyer showing the Young Scientist Awards, so people can.
Yeah, you can click, so to the audience, you can click on, there should be a little icon that says Files, and that Files will has a list of resources that you're able to download. So just click on Files and then go over there. So let me know if that works or doesn't work. You can just let me know in the chat.
Y creo que hay una flyer allá también en español, and another one in English, and maybe even one en français. We also host educational programs with our national societies. We fly an expert to your country to give a lecture, a presentation, a seminar. Obviously with COVID, that's been put on hold, so we've launched this webinar series to bring experts to your office or your living room instead. And finally, all individual members of the IFSCC can register for our Congress or conference at a reduced rate. Generally, the amount of money you save is much more than you've paid for your membership alone. So it's really a worthwhile investment to be a member of the IFSCC. And let me add that we asked Mr. Yamaki to join us today because he is a member of both the US and the Japanese societies. And as you know, the Japanese Society is hosting our Congress, which is now virtual, would have been held in person in Japan, and Yokohama, Japan. Now it's virtual, and it's 20,000 Japanese yen for 10 days of unlimited access to all the posters and the podiums. That's less than $200 or less than 200 euros. So it's fabulous, a fabulous value for your money, and we hope you can all sign up and join us. So again, the IFSCC, we're here to support one world of beauty.
All right, thank you very much for that, Mary Lynn. And now we can switch over There we go. Oh, we're all back again. All right. Are we ready to get started with the main presentation?
Goodbye.
Mr. Satoshi Yamaki is a senior manager of Shiseido Americas Corporation in Princeton, New Jersey. His professional background covers sunscreen formulation, skincare, hair care, and novel cosmetics. He has also conducted basic research on ultra-thin film as artificial skin, very interesting, and photostability of organic UV filters. Mr. Yamaki has both his BS and MS from Saitama University and is currently working on his MBA from the New York universities. Today's interesting talk is going to be on the advances in water-resistant sunscreens. Okay, so let's get started here. Let's get the presentation loaded for you. There you go, and I am going to disappear, so take it away now.
Okay, thank you for the great introduction, Hui. And let me start my presentation named The Advance of Water-Resistant Technology of Sunscreen. So I'm happy to join this webinar today and really appreciate this great opportunity. Okay. So I'd like to share the basic knowledge about water-resistant sunscreen technology and my research result of the advanced sunscreen technology. Okay, let's proceed. Okay, so this is the agenda of my lecture today. First, I'd like to talk about skin damage of UV rays. Second, I'd introduce the basic theory of formulating water-resistant sunscreen. Third, I'd like to share the importance of film evenness. This is an essential part of designing effective sunscreen. Last, I'll share my research result named Development of an Autonomous Water-Responsive Coating Film and Application of Innovative Sunscreens. Okay, let me move to the first topics. So, as you know, the UV rays affect skin health a lot. The UVB causes sunburn, delayed pigment darkening, dark spots, and dry skin. UVA reaches the dermis and causes immediate pigment darkening, wrinkles, and sagging. The damage from UVB is very apparent, especially in outdoor leisure and sports activities. On the other hand, UVA affects our skin invisibly, even if it's winter season or cloudy day. For designing sunscreen formulas, protecting skin against both UVA and UVB is the most important. This graph shows the time course of UV damage. Immediate pigment darkening appears and disappears in a short time. Sunburn gets appeared in a day. Then, delayed tanning gradually appears, and it remains for 1 year. Accumulating those UV damages causes photoaging, which is very difficult to recover the condition. Those pictures are examples of UV damage. The upper left pictures shows dark spots on the shoulder. The upper right picture revealed aging spots on her cheek. The lower two pictures showed wrinkles of photoaging, the neck and hand. In the worst case, UV rays cause skin cancer. Thus, protecting UV rays significantly contributes to both skin health and skin beauty. So this is our research result of the correlation between wrinkle areas and experiences of getting suntan. As you can see, sunscreen users showed a lower level of wrinkles compared with subjects who got suntan when they were 20s. This result suggested that using sunscreen at a younger age is a key to prevent photoaging. So next, let me talk about basic formulation of water-resistant sunscreen. So yeah, this is, sorry, it's Japanese, but it's my favorite slide today. So yeah, this article is Japanese and it's very old because it's in 2003. So this article mentions the oldest sunscreen in our Shiseido history. So in 1923, Shiseido developed and launched Ubiorin as a sunscreen for leisure scene. At that time, the lifestyle of enjoying the beach got popular in Japan. For considering the water-resistant property, this formula consisted of oil base, including organic UV filters and inorganic scattering agents. I believe this is the origin of water-resistant formulas. So everyone knows that there are two types of UV filters. One is organic UV filters, which absorb UV rays and transfer it to heat or other kinds of light. Mainly, the form is oil. Another is UV scattering agents, which reflect and scatter UV rays. Mainly, the form is powder. For the formulation of sunscreen, we can apply both ingredients and design the optimal UV protective effect. Basically, sunscreen formulation is a combination of these factors. Oil includes organic UV filters and inorganic UV scattering agents. Water includes humectants and stabilizers. By selecting optimal surfactants, we can create both oil in water and water in oil system. The oil in water system has a good watery texture, so it is popular in daily use sunscreen, especially in Asia. The water in oil system can make a smooth texture, so it is good for sport and leisure activities. So this is the basic strategy of formulating water-resistant sunscreen. The first approach is selecting an oil external base. Ubiorin took this strategy, and it is very common way in the sunscreen formulation. The second approach is increasing hydrophobicity of UV scattering agent. There are many kinds of coating modifications. For example, oxyl-trietoxylan, dimeticon, and stearic acid. The third way is adding hydrophobic film former, especially silicone-based film former, which is effective to improve the water-resistant property. And the last way is changing the oil in water formulas to the powder in oil in water system. So this is the kind of three layer the formulation includes. The formulation needs more sensitive process control, but we can make unique sunscreens with water resistant and watery texture. Again, these four approaches are general ways to improve the water resistant property. So as the next topic, let me talk about the importance of the evenness of sunscreen coating film. So that is the key findings in our research. For the analysis of sunscreen coating film, in vitro assessment is very important way to observe application condition and the situation of the sunscreen layer. For this purpose, there are several substrates as mimic skin, and we can use it. But the important part of optimizing substrate is texture. So considering the actual skin texture and possible application amount of sunscreen, we developed SPF Master PA01 with PMMA materials. So this substrate includes the skin texture. It's very similar to the skin. So we can apply the optimal amount of the sunscreen on this substrate, as same as exact SPF testing. Using this substrate, we developed the method for analyzing sunscreen coating films by cross-section. We applied the sunscreen 2 milligram square at 2 milligram per square centimeter on SPF master PA01. Then we cut the plate and chilled at minus 130 Celsius degree with liquid nitrogen and kept the film condition. The sunscreen on the plate was coated with platinum and observed its cross-section by using a cryo-focused ion beam SEM. I'm sorry. Yeah, so this is the process, and this is the result. Yeah, please see these pictures. So these pictures shows the actual image of sunscreen coating film by cryo FIB-SEM. The area surrounded by yellow dot line is a sunscreen coating layer. The film thickness is approximately 5 to 10 micrometers. And we can see how the UV scattering agents were dispersed evenly in the sunscreen layers. And this kind of the big particle shows the kind of microplastic beads for the texture, for the blurring effect. So from this cryo-FIB analysis, we discovered that the condition of coating film were different from formula to formula. The upper picture shows the uniform sunscreen coating film. Lower picture shows an even coating film. The film uniformity has a strong impact on its UV protective effect. There are two different types of sunscreen. One is uniform coating film, and another is uniform. The absorbance of these sunscreens are different, even though they contain the same amount of UV filters. The UV absorbance of the uniform film is higher than a uniform one. The left skin picture shows the result of SPF testing. Sunscreen B caused sunburn, but sunscreen A showed enough UV protective effect. So such kind of difference comes from the evenness of the coating film. So let me explain this phenomena with the simple model. The sunscreen efficiency in blocking UV rays strongly depends on coating film uniformity. This figure shows the importance of film uniformity for UV protective effect. If this one block reduces the amount of light to 1/10, such as sunscreen, the amount of transmitted light of uniform film is 6. And on the other hand, rough film is 22.2. It's approximately 3 to 4 times higher than uniform film. And the transmitted light, it seems to be a UV rays. So this amount of transmitted light are very different according to its film uniformity. It is well known that coating films of sunscreen tend to become discolored, disordered, and partially removed by water or perspiration during outdoor leisure or sports activities. In that case, the number of transmitted lights gets higher and higher. This is the actual result of Oh, sorry. Thank you. This is actually a result of UV absorbance and in vivo SPF testing before and after water immersion. Even though the same sunscreen contacting with water decreases the UV protective effect significantly, which allows sunburn and photoaging eventually. It came from the unevenness of sunscreen layers. As I explained, sunscreen effectiveness strongly relies on film uniformity. Water resistance is also an essential factor to keep the UV protective function. Based on this theory, I'd like to share my research on the development of autonomous water responsive coating film and its application of sunscreen. So the purpose of this study is to improve the film uniformity and consequently enhance its UV protective effect, opposite to conventional sunscreen. I focused on the interaction between coating films and water or perspiration. In order to achieve this purpose, we have selected an approach of using three components. The first is UV filters for UV protective effect. The second is the fatty acid that interact with aqueous inorganic cations and produces metal soaps for high water repellency. The third is PEG-PPG 14,7 dimethyl ester. So we called it as EPDME, which is an amphitic agent and soluble in both water and oil for increasing interaction of the coating film with water. Based on these components, we studied creating an autonomous water responsive coating film to enhance film uniformity and UV protective effect. This formulation technology is named wet force. So this slide shows our evaluation method. We use SPF Master PA01 substrate for in vivo evaluation. Sunscreen samples were applied on it. We measured its UV absorbance and analyzed the film uniformity and distribution by X-ray fluorescence imaging of oil phase, 3D laser microscope, SEM, and cryo-FIB SEM. For in vivo evaluation, we measured the UVB protective effect by irradiating UVB light. And SPF was measured before and after water immersion. Okay, let me talk about the result of these studies. The fatty acid is one of the key of wet force technology. This figure shows the interaction of fatty acid with different inorganic cations on the coating film using X-ray mapping. Red color reveals the distribution of potassium ion, and blue color reveals calcium ion. This film released potassium ion into the water and captures calcium ion, which produces metal soap in the coating film. The next figure shows water-resistant property of the coating film with the fatty acid using fluorescence imaging of the oil phase. These three samples had different mole ratio of fatty acid and potassium hydroxide. Lower layer pictures shows the amount of the oil phase after water immersion. As you can see, these coating films with lower mole rate ratio were removed easily by water. High mole ratio of fatty acid and potassium hydroxide was useful for increasing the water repellency. So this slide is about EPDME, which is another key factor as an amphibic agent. This figure shows improving the responsiveness of the coating film to water by EPDME. Graph reveals the change ratio of the coating film absorbance corresponding to water immerse time. So we found that EPDME improves UV protective effect faster and more effectively, even if it's small amount. According to these results, we developed a model sunscreen with wet force technology. So let me share the efficacy result with you. This is the dynamic process of the wet force coating film by contacting water using 3D laser microscope, SEM, and cryo-FIB SEM. These figures show profiles of the coating films before water immersion, just after water immersion, and drying. So the gray layer is the profile of substrate unevenness. The blue layer is the profile of the coating film. And these pictures are observation of the coating film by cryo-FIB SEM and SEM. So yeah, please see the left picture. It shows the surface condition. And center and the right picture shows the cross-section image. So film before water immersion were very uneven. The film thickness is thin on elevated areas and thick on grooves. Once the film immersed in water, the profiles are drastically changed. So as you can see, the film thickness increased and by absorbing water. After drying, by comparing average film thickness and roughness values, we found that the degree of film thickness dispersion got small. So that means the coating film of sunscreen gets uniform. So film thickness of elevated area and grooves area are less different. Therefore, so we prove that the wet force coating film gets uniform, and by distributing the sunscreen layer on the substrate, it actually coats in the real skin as well. So furthermore, we also analyzed the uniformity of the UV filters. So these pictures are SEM and micro laser Raman spectral mapping of UV filters to ethylhexyl for methoxycinamate. Upper pictures are static sunscreen surface, and lower pictures are after immersion with calcium chloride solutions. As you can see, the surface of sunscreen coating film got uniform, and the distribution of UV filter were improved by contacting with water. Okay, so now I'd like to share the video of the promotion of wet force technology.
Bees are said to see the UV light. Humans and bees see a world apart. Let's see the UV light via an image on a UV camera. Under a UV camera, the image appears darker where UV rays are absorbed, like so, through a sheet of UV-absorbing glass. Let's experiment using a sunscreen product, an important player in UV protection. Apply some sunscreen featuring the wet force technology, a Shiseido original. It looks the same to human eyes, but under a UV camera, a dab of sunscreen appears darker for its UV absorption capability. Now, what will happen when it's immersed in water? Would there be a lighter spot with less UV absorption? The spot appears even darker. The UV protection effect was enhanced by immersing it in water. An amazing 20% increase. Compared to conventional sunscreens, which become less effective underwater, this is a breakthrough technology. Experience the effect yourself. These eyes not required.
Now, I will share the result of the efficacy of wet hose technology. So wet hose technology improves the film uniformity, which can boost the UV protective effect theoretically. So I tried to confirm the real performance by in vitro UV protective effect and in vivo SPF testing. The left graph is in vitro UV protective effect of wet hose sunscreen with different types of water. The vertical axis is the change ratio of absorbance. The ionized water didn't increase the UV protective effect because of a lack of different cations. On the other hand, various kinds of water increased the UV protective effect of wet hose sunscreen. The right side picture shows in vivo UVB protective effect of the same samples. The skin was irradiated with UVB and evaluate sunburn after 24 hours. Before water immersion, sunburn became clear corresponding to irradiating time. On the other hand, there are no sunburn on the skin after water immersion. We confirmed that the UV protective effect was actually enhanced by water with this wet hose technology. So the left graph is in vitro UV protective effect of wet hose sunscreen, and the right side graph is the in vivo SPF result. So compared with before and after water immersion, the model sunscreen with wet hose showed a 55% improvement in the integrated absorbance. The average SPF value also indicated that the 10% improvement is a highly significant difference. The boosting effect of UV protection is proved by both in vivo and in vitro method. I also tried to validate the effectiveness of the sunscreen from wet hose model sunscreen compared with conventional technologies. I optimized the formula with SPF 60 and evaluate the function by in vivo test. The right side is conventional sunscreen, which claims water resistant, but the SPF value decreased by contacting with water, so 50 to 33. On the other hand, wet hose sunscreen showed a 20% higher SPF after water immersion, which proves the effectiveness of our advanced water-resistant system. So finally, let me conclude my lecture today. So first, UV rays are harmful to skin health and cause photoaging. Second, the formulation technologies of water resistant are developed by increasing the hydrophobic property of the sunscreen coating film. Third, the coating film uniformity has a significant impact on the UV protective effect. The last, innovative wet hose technology makes sunscreen coating film uniform autonomously by contacting water, resulting in enhancement of UV protective effect. So I believe that this advanced water-resistant technology can fulfill customer demands for healthy and beautiful skin, especially for leisure and sports activities. So thank you very much for your attention. And yeah, that's the time to discuss about your question. So yeah, please ask me freely if you have any question.
All right, we are back on. Hello. Let me pretend I don't wear glasses, so I'll take those off. Yeah, we've got a number of questions that were sent in. Thanks, everybody who has sent in questions. We'll try to get to as many as we can. So let's just kick off with the first one that comes from Albert says, would nano titanium dioxide, zinc oxide particles affect the film forming and uniformity of this technology?
Yeah, actually, so this is very effective factor for the film uniformity. But so I think there are two aspects. So one is in the very micron viewpoint, very small scale viewpoint, the uniformity of the scattering agent is very, very important for the total SPF performance. But on the other hand, for the macro viewpoint, I think the formulation system is more effective. So what kind of surfactant we choose, or what kind of ratio of water and oil phase. So such kinds of whole component is more effective for the total performance. So that's the key findings from mine, from ours, in the analysis of sunscreen coating layers.
All right. Yeah, but we've got a bunch more questions, so I'm just going to try to get through as many as I can. Beverly wants to know, how do you ensure that the user doesn't use the sunscreen for static protection? Clearly, this needs to be used in water to be effective. So how do you manage your SPF claims?
Oh, that's a good point. So yeah, actually, so I think so there are no regulation of kind of supporting this claim by SPF. So actually, so I proved the performance of wet force technology, and it actually enhanced the SPF value. But on the other hand, the regulation of each country didn't allow such kinds of claims. So improving SPF, increasing SPF. So we are focusing on the film uniformity. So we claim the film uniformity, but we couldn't mention the SPF value actually. So there are some several ways to demonstrate our value of the wet force technology to tell the consumers. But direct claim is very, very difficult.
Okay, yeah. So that could be a challenge when marketing. But,
yeah, right.
Juliana wants to know, have you published a paper with these results anywhere?
Yes, actually, so I published in the IFSC magazine, I think 2015. Yeah, so please check it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
gotcha.
IFSC magazine. Yeah, I published.
Leo wants to know, there is a point in the video that it states there's a 120% improvement. Can you share what the actual numbers were that video referred to?
Okay, got it. So this is actually my last slide. So SPF 60 sunscreen gets SPF 74. So actually, so the effectiveness depends on the formula to formula. So we developed several types of wet force sunscreen and different amount of the SPF value. And the effectiveness is kind of rely on the formula optimization. But for example, so one formula that's developed maybe so in 2017 or 16. Yeah, so this gets the result of SPF 90 to SPF 120 or something. So the kind of variation we have, but 20% is kind of the average.
Gotcha. Okay. It's good enough for claims research. There were a couple of people that had asked, but we'll take Erin's question. The research showed an improvement protection using organic sunscreens. Does this also work on inorganic sunscreens?
Yes, right. So yeah, actually, so after launching the first product, we also researched and developed the inorganic sunscreen, so non-chemical sunscreen, and launched in the launched in globally. So for example, for US, we have the Shiseido Ultimate Sunscreen for the sensitive skin. So this is in organic sunscreen and including the wet force. So there are no organic UV filters.
Okay. Let's see. Next up, Leo wanted some clarifications. Actually, I think we went through that one. Doug wanted to know, are there any problems washing this product off after you use it? I mean, it is water resistant.
Yeah, that's a good point. But actually, so this water resistant is comes from the film evenness. So that means chemical property are not so much different before and after water immersion. Of course, the kind of metal soap increase the water repellency, but it's also easy to remove by soap because it's a variety of soap. So, and actually, so we launched several products in globally, but we haven't had any experience of the kind of increasing claims to difficult to remove this sunscreen.
Okay, makes sense. Yin wanted to know, can you briefly explain sort of the key technology that was used in the wet force?
Yeah, so key technology is so one is UV filters. So it's possible to use both, so organic and inorganic. And the second factor is fatty acid. So this is interact with different cation and creates the metal soap. So this is the increasing hydrophobicity in the film. And the last part is kind of so we called EPDME. Sorry, I forgot. We called the kind of amphiphilic agent. And this is actually a special one. So originally Shiseido developed, and it's very effective to absorb water into the film and swells the film and uniforms the layers. So these three factors are key in the wet force technology.
And I bet your manufacturing people love it. Huh? Bart wants to know, can this system be formulated into alcoholic systems?
Alcoholic system. So you mean, for example, alcoholic spray or something?
I think something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so actually, so I've never tried it yet, but maybe so it's possible. But I will have to pay attention if we try. So what kind of how alcohol affects the coating film layer.
Right.
Yeah.
It's maybe an interesting new place to look, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Jonathan wants to know, how long does the skin need to be immersed in the water to see the SPF improvement?
Oh, that's a good question. So actually, we studied so how long of water immersion is necessary, and actually, so even though after 5 minutes, so the improving the evenness and improving the UV protective effects happened. But so by time, the effectiveness was increased. I think the 15 minutes is enough for the water immersion, but 30 minutes is much more safer.
And it's kind of a little follow-up, but do you have some notion of time versus a percent increase in the SPF?
Yes, yes. So yeah, as I said in the previous question,
Mhm.
after the boosting effect of SPF getting higher and higher by time. So for example, 5 minutes, so 5% increase. So 15 minutes, 10 to 50% increase, and 30 minutes, and 20% increase, such like this. And it's actually so saturated because it's a limitation of the film uniformity.
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. Let's see. We got Art wants to, Art said if the SPF is higher in softer water at 50 ppm versus 500 ppm in mineral water, how are the calcium ions helping in that case? Is this just simply a wetting effect of the EPDME?
Okay, yeah, right. And yeah, previously I tried the several types of water, and actually so soft water and hard water. So in the Japanese water is very soft. The hardness is 40. But so for example, the European country has the hard water. The hard water hardness is around 500 or something. So I researched the several types of water, including 1,000 hardness or 1,500 hardness, and all of waters I confirmed the effectiveness of wet force. So that means even though small amount of calcium ion, the wet force function was appeared.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, we've got a few more questions that are coming fast and furious. So I'm trying to get to everyone's. Let's shift a little bit here, just on sunscreens. And someone had asked about this, but specifically the environmental impact on this. Is this kind of technology reef safe, or what kind of impact might it have on marine life? Have you looked into anything like that?
So that means kind of environmental, so
And
sustainability or something?
well, there are some concerns about sunscreens that they get on coral reefs, and that can cause bleaching. And there's concern about that. In fact, in places in Florida and Hawaii, they have actually banned a couple of sunscreen actives just for that reason. Does this technology have any kind of negative impact on the environment?
I don't think so, because it's very high water resistant property it has. And actually, I have the experience that, so when I was developing this technology, I actually tried to apply this sunscreen and the conventional water resistant sunscreen and swim in the water. And for example, so the conventional sunscreen, when I enter the sea, so it's very apparent to the flow in the surface of the sea as a kind of oil ingredients. But so my wet force sunscreen doesn't observe such kind of phenomena. And actually the result of the SPF test and result of the UV absorbance shows that there are no removable UV filters into the water, and it improves the efficiency. So yeah, I think the wet force sunscreen is a possible solution to protect the environment from kind of UV filters.
Interesting. Okay. Another question was about Doug wanted to know, can this technology be used freely by people in the industry, or there are some IP restrictions?
Yeah, actually, so we have the IP. Because it's a very key technology for our company and for our products. So we protect it as IP.
So you can use it, but you got to get a license, right? Something like that. I don't know if you're licensing it, but
yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Got another question here. Beverly wants to know, do you recommend that users take a shower before going in the sun? Or is this product marketed based off the static SPF results?
Yeah, so actually, so the static SPF we designed, it's enough for people in the leisure scene. This is kind of the, how can I say so, additional benefit for people. And I think the, yeah, static SPF, for example, so it's 60, and it's theoretically it's enough for people. But once people get the swimming or get the rain or get the perspiration, the beneficial part of wet force is decreasing the anxiety of customers to remove the sunscreen on their leisure and sport activities. So they never mind the removing sunscreen. So that's the beneficial part, I think.
Yeah, yeah. We've got lots of questions. We got just about 5 more minutes, so we'll get through as many as we can. Thank you so much for your time, and you have really sparked a lot of interest in this topic. So there was a question that I get asked a lot by people who frequent my my beauty podcast, The Beauty Brains. People want to know the order in which you apply products. So say you are using a moisturizer and a sunscreen. For a technology like this, would you put the moisturizer on first and then the sunscreen on top of that, or would you put the sunscreen on first and then your other products on top of that?
Okay, that's a good point. Actually, so yeah, the wet force technology, if the UV boosting effect is necessary, so the water comes after applying the sunscreen. Yeah, before moisturizer, it's not effective in this case. But water also needs to include the kind of the cationic ion, especially divalent. So, so I think in the real situation, the perspiration and the swimming water is much common and general in this case.
Yeah, yeah, okay, makes sense. Wenha and Caroline had similar questions. How long does this sunscreen stay on the skin after your application?
Okay, so actually, so if you don't so rubbing hardly, the sunscreen stays for, of course, 12 hours or 60 hours. So I actually confirmed in the real investigation with my colleagues and to apply the sunscreen and stay in the whole days and check the amount of sunscreen. So I think in the real situation, maybe so touching the crosses or touching the kind of rubbing the skin cause the removing sunscreen, except the water or perspiration. So that is another key to keep the sunscreen effectiveness. So that's why still our products recommend consumers to reapply the sunscreen.
Okay. Yeah. So you still have to reapply. And Caroline's question was a little, if she wanted to know about how long is the improvement in SPF, how long does that last after the contact with water?
Okay, got it. So once the SPF gets higher by wet force, actually it keeps for long. So I mean, for example, yeah. So when I researched by in vitro method, so applying the sunscreen on substrate, and after water immersion, the high absorbance still keep for 3 days after or 1 week after, even though 1 month later. So it's looks permanent for the because it comes from the evenness of the film.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So it'll last as long, but it could come off of your skin or something like that. So
yeah,
the film still works. Okay. Neil wants to know: did you notice any reduction of oiliness on the skin? And so what would be your best recommendation to reduce oiliness when using any kind of sunscreen?
Okay, so for reduce oiliness,
Yeah.
I think in the formulation aspect, the effective way to use the kind of powder with oil absorption. So for example, recently microplastic beads are kind of issue in the Europe. So my recommendation is using the other powders, such as silica or cellulose or something. But on the other hand, so if you try to oil in water system, so it actually reduce the oil feeding, so oil feeding, and add the watery feeding. So that's another way to improve to decrease the oil texture.
Yeah, makes sense. Here's an interesting one. Richard wants to know, is there a different effect on different skin types? So does this technology work differently for different skin types?
No, actually, I conducted this test with Japanese subjects and the United States diverse subjects, and also European subjects. So we confirmed this phenomena on the very diverse skin types. So it's not rely on the skin types, skin diversity.
Okay, makes sense. Art asked, have you looked at any other film formers with your uniformity methods?
Yes, actually, but yeah. So this is kind of sorry. So it's a kind of secret of the formulation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. I don't know. No.
Thank you.
Yes.
But, yeah, but so let me add one comment about so just adding the water repellent film former is not effective. So because this is the whole system of the formulation and how to design the coating film of sunscreen. So for the wet force technology, wet force products formula, we need to consider the whole system and whole balance of the formula. So that's the key.
Yeah. Here's an interesting one, and we'll just take, I think there's just 2 more questions we'll have. There's a few more. I'm sorry, people, if we didn't get to your question. We got a ton of questions. We've been on for a long time. Thank you all for attending, but here's just 2 more questions. First, is there some specific fatty acid that is going to perform best with this system? So does the fatty acids matter there much?
Not so much. I tried several types of fatty acid, but yeah. But one point is so solid type fatty acid is much better than liquid type. Liquid type, for example, so isostearic acid, it also has some function, but not so much effective. Such like this.
Okay. And our final question, thank you everybody who joined us, but this is a very curious question. Benai wants to know, have you done any testing on a swimming pool versus, say, a sea immersion? So different kinds of waters.
Okay. Yeah, so actually the actual SPF testing is conducted the SPF testing company and testing laboratories. So the water immersion situation is kind of similar to swimming pool or swimming bath, but we also tried to conduct the test by ourselves in sea, and we confirmed the both function. And in addition, we also tried the perspiration test and see the same function of wet hose.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Satoshi. This was a fascinating technology, and I'm sure it's going to have a big impact on sunscreens now and in the future. It looks like really, it's great to see some real technology going on in the cosmetic industry. So thank you so much. Thank you everybody for attending. I apologize if we didn't get to your questions. We will be sending out an email to have the replay webinars here. We will also be sharing your emails with Satoshi and give you information on how to contact him and learn more about the technology. We're going to be doing another webinar in 2 weeks, and I believe it's going to be a rheology webinar or something like that, but it's coming up. We're looking forward to that. Thank you so much. Thank you, Satoshi. Thank you, Mary Lynn, if you're gone there. And until next time, I'm Perry Romanowski, and this is the IFSCC Webinar Cosmetic Science Series. Thank you again to everybody who joined.
Thank you very much.
This is the 9th IFSCC webinar. Boy, we've been doing these for a little while now, huh, Mary Lynn?
Yes, since the end of April.
And I see we already have 10 people online. Hello, everybody. If you're just joining us, we always love to see where people are from. So why don't you go to the chat box over there and just type in your name and where you're from and just say hello. I am Perry Romanowski. I am the current chair of the Education Committee for the IFSCC. This summer, we've been doing a series of webinars. You can see replays of our webinars by going to our website, ifscc.org/education. And we've had a number of them, and they've all been great. Well, hey, look, we have Mary Lynn chiming in. Dominic's from Long Beach, California. Hello, Dominic. Welcome aboard. We're going to have an excellent talk today about sunscreens and making advances in water-resistant sunscreens. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm sure sunscreens are a pretty hot topic these days. Sanya, hello, Sanya. Welcome to the webinar. Yeah, okay. We're already up to over 70 people online, so we've got a pretty good crowd out there for you. We've got Mr. Satoshi Yamaki today. He's going to be speaking to us about advances in sunscreens. Satoshi, where are you located right now?
Hi. So now I'm living in the New Jersey, and actually so now I'm in the office, and I'm working for Shiseido for almost 17 years, and
Wow.
yeah. And I have so many experience with formulating not only for sunscreen, but also for the skincare and hair care and other innovative products.
So how did you end up in the cosmetic industry? I actually just stumbled into it. I knew nothing about it when I was in college and I got a degree, but I'm always curious how people ended up there. So how'd you get involved with Shiseido?
Okay, that's a good question. So yeah, it's in 2003. Actually, so I graduated my graduate school in Japan, but my major was molecular biology. But actually, so cosmetic formulation is slightly different. It's more chemical, polymer science. But yeah, so I feel that's the very interesting part of the cosmetic formulation because the cosmetics is very interesting field, including so many technologies and consumer sensories and trend of the marketing. So I was very attractive about creating new formula, creating new innovative solution by ourselves. So that's the motivation of mine to join the cosmetic industry and to still keep working.
Yeah, well, it's a fun industry. What I like about it from a scientific standpoint is you make products that people actually use, and it's very relatable.
Yeah, right.
I can imagine people doing excellent research on coatings or on, say, cancer, and if you talk to them about their work, it's, unless you know protein synthesis, it's not as relatable. So,
yeah.
We've got a lot of people checking in already. We've got Elena from Slovakia. Hello. Philip from Singapore. We've got Rita from Portugal. Lourdes from Spain. Hello. I hope everything's going well in Spain. We've got Babu Kumar from India. Wow, we've got people joining us from all over the world. As usual, this is the IFSCC, the International Federation of Society of Cosmetic Chemists. And look at that, we got Bart Maxson joining us. Hey, Bart. Welcome
Hello, Bart.
aboard, Bart.
We know you.
Yeah.
Look, we have Bahar Karim from Indonesia, where it's 11 o'clock at night right now.
Wow, welcome.
I think we should have an award for whoever is joining us at the most inconvenient hour.
There is the Inconvenient Hour Award. That'll be on the next webinar.
Next time. Good.
Yes. Well, we'll have to come up with a trophy for that. We got Zaira from Barcelona. I've always wanted to go to Barcelona, but now we have this whole virus and we can't travel anymore. It's so disturbing.
I know something about Mr. Yamaki I want to share with everyone. He's a very, he prizes education so much that even though he's working full-time at Shiseido Americas and running a lab there, he's pursuing an executive MBA at my alma mater, New York University. So in his spare time, Mr. Yamaki's getting an MBA in his spare time. So congratulations. It's a long, tough road, but you'll be happy when it's over.
Well, it's always great to have more education, isn't it? We've got Vincent from France. Hello. Alicia from Valencia. Gustav from Argentina. Hello. Marte from Portugal. Portugal, another place that actually I had planned a trip to Portugal in September, but that's not happening anymore.
Yeah.
We are going to get started in just 5 minutes. Now, as you are just joining us, feel free to chime in at the chat, say hello. But what I want to tell you in the chat is where you can put your questions. So if during the talk you have a question, burning question you want answered at the end of the talk, we're going to have a Q&A session. So you can just post your question there. I'm going to look through the questions and cull them and pick out the most interesting ones. So, make sure you write it in a way that I can understand it. And we'll be sure to ask that question at the end of the presentation. The presentation is slated to last about 40-45 minutes. And we're going to have a short introduction by Mary Lynn just before the start, and that will be in just a couple of minutes. Before that, we say Susanna from Buenos Aires. Hello. We got Jonathan from the UK. Wow, we've got a good crowd right now. We've got about 120 people online, so you've got a good crowd. This is an interesting topic, sunscreens. How long have you been working in the sunscreen area?
Oh, well, for me? Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm all over the place.
Okay. Yeah, so I think so since 2010, so I started working for the sunscreen area. And at that time, my project, so my research team is a kind of stability of organic UV filters. But in parallel, I joined our company, so Shiseido Social Business Project. So I visited India and Bangladesh, especially for rural area, and to investigate so what kind of social support we will do. So during this experience, so I noticed that the importance of the sunscreen, because so such kind of South Asian area, so the UV rays are very harming and very strong, and many women got the photoaging, even though they are 30s or 40s. So I got the motivation to develop the high water, ultimate water-resistant sunscreen to prevent the UV rays and keep skin health.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to this talk. We're going to get started in just 2 minutes. Look, Erwin's online. Hello, Erwin. Great to have you. Patricia. Hello, Patricia. John from Colombia. Hello. Welcome aboard. Alicia from, we already said Valencia. Yeah. Wow. We've got people from all over the world. Denmark. That's the first person checking in from Denmark. Yeah. Someone else from New Jersey, Hongwei from New Jersey is checking in. So welcome aboard. I'm very excited. We're going to get started. I like to be very timely. We're going to start in 1 minute. And When I say timely, I'm not talking about any official clock except the clock right there on my computer. Right now it says 9:59. We're going to get started very soon. And like I said, if you have questions, feel free to put it in the chat. The other thing I would like to point out, this session is being recorded. So if you have computer issues and it gets a little dicey, first thing to do is try to hit refresh on your browser. That will sometimes save things. Second thing to do is don't worry, because we're recording it and you'll hopefully get to see the video after that. So there you go. Doug Zuber checking in from Texas. Hello, Doug. Doug and I used to work together. So yeah, we've got lots of people online and just coming up to the end here. Mary Lynn, are you ready? We're going to get started. All right, we're going to get started. It's right at the top of the hour.